Hello comrades and welcome to another video. In this one I'll be analyzing the 6th and 7th of September according to Ryber's mapping about battles near Balaklia. So prior to the original fighting engagement, the Ukrainians built up a lot of their troops and equipment, and they also started an artillery barrage a week before the initial fighting. So the main push came from the Andrivka area, where this is Kharkov Andrivka, not Kherson Andrivka. And in this initial push, they pushed towards Verbivka and then took the village, but then they were stopped around the river and couldn't cross it towards Balaklaya as the Russians decided to blow up the bridge. They then decided to widen the front line by advancing towards Yakovenkov, which they actually captured on the first day. Then during the night, the Russians pulled back and the Ukrainians advanced and took the area that the Ukrainians pushed them from, where the Ukrainians also actually managed to push all the way to Yulohiv Yar, and the Russians pulled back all the way to Semenivka and Yulohiv Yar. So the current fighting is ongoing around Yulohiv Yar. On the east side of the river is where the Russians are setting up their defensive positions, while on the western side the Ukrainians control. And then they push further up north towards Semenivka, which caused the Russians to actually fall back from the north as well towards the Semenivka line. This allows them to protect this village city up here, Sevchenkove, which is the main hub similar to Balakliva, where the Russians are using as their main base in the northern area around this front line. Then back further south, we saw that the Ukrainians took Bayrak and Novohusarivka, where the Russians pulled back across the river to defend the river line rather than in the open field, where the villages were positioned. This allows the Russians to set up a defensive position across the river, which makes it difficult for the Ukrainians to advance. Not only are there a whole network of rivers, there's also a large forested area by the rivers, meaning that generally this defensive position is unbreachable by the Ukrainians. So most likely the main push will be from the northern side, where they will try to cross the river towards Balaklaya and Porshivka by crossing around Yulohiv Yar and Yakovenkov. The goal is, as will be indicated soon, that the Ukrainians want to push towards Vesele and take the northern flank towards Izyum to control this area, encircling Balaklaya and pushing northward from the north southwards towards Izyum. That way they can start a two-front war against Izyum by pushing from the south at the same time. Since Izyum is split into two by the river here, being able to push through from the north and control that area allows them to attack Izyum without crossing the river, as they're able to attack from both sides. So this is actually a really well planned out offensive, and they definitely have spent a lot of time planning it, and they have their best equipment and best men on it, which means that generally they have a possibility of succeeding. But so far the Russians took the right decision. They pulled back from the open areas behind the river to protect the river line, and they received a lot of reinforcements from the north and the east, allowing them to properly defend these rivers and prevent the Ukrainians from crossing. So generally the next few days will be essential for determining the success of this counteroffensive, as so far the territory occupied by the Ukrainians in this counteroffensive generally isn't the most important. It is necessary for them to take this area, but it was horrible for the Russians to defend in it, which is why they pulled back. So the general situation here is that the next step will be the river crossings, which will happen both here in the west, as indicated by Ryber, and also from the north. So generally, these two areas will determine the success of the Ukrainian counteroffensive, as without a river crossing, it will be impossible for them to take or advance towards Vesele. So the main fighting will happen here in the north, where the Ukrainians will try to advance, creating a salient and pushing towards Vesele, and they will advancing from the south as well. However, the Russian defenders around Balaklia, as well as in the north, will try to prevent them from crossing. So whether or not the Ukrainians cross and how much they can take advantage of a crossing will determine the success of the Ukrainian counteroffensive. This current territory is perfect for defense for the Russians and very difficult for the Ukrainians to pass through, meaning that generally the next coming days will be very difficult for the Ukrainians. And we will see how much forces the Russians will be able to place and concentrate on this area, considering they have put most of their forces in the south to defend against the Kherson counteroffensive. So it will be very interesting in the next coming days. Thanks for watching and have a great day.